Welcome back to Loan Officer Success Partner Spotlight. Hey, today, guys, we've got somebody from up north. You know, always bringing the heat, right? Bringing those good producers, those amazing people that are out there doing big things in this industry. And today, we've got Adam Neft from Go Mortgage. And Adam, man, hey, thanks for jumping on.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, you know, we had the pleasure of meeting a couple of weeks back on the Red Morning Show. So always love to give a shout out to Scotty and what he's doing over there. And love the message. Love what you delivered. I think there might have been a standing ovation at the end. And I was like, dude, we got to get Adam over here.
I think people stood up because they couldn't run away fast enough. So in the end, they're like, "Oh, get me out of here! I gotta go. I gotta run to the shower and shower off after all this guy said. It was so filthy." Something like that.
I love it, man. I love it. So I see some Indiana stuff on the wall back there. Are you you originally from Indiana? Where are you from, brother?
I'm from Pittsburgh. Went to school at Indiana. Spent some time in Indianapolis, Louisville, and have called Columbus, Ohio, home since 2010. So a little bit all over the Midwest.
There it is, man. There it is. Yeah. You know, I'm a Midwesterner myself, a little lower down, Kansas originally. So
Nice.
yeah, there it is. Okay. So let's talk about mortgage and how you got over here to the space. Did you graduate and say, man, this is it? I want to be a loan officer. Like, how did you get over in this field?
Not quite. I was a sportscaster for 13 years. Started off in television, got into radio. That's what brought me to Columbus. College football is my favorite thing, besides writing loans, of course. And, you know, I was in Columbus doing my thing on the radio and decided maybe it was time for a change and tried to find jobs in the communications business. It was tough outside of the sports world. So I had a buddy at a call center, you know, one of those 15 years ago, 100% refi shops, direct mail, lead type places. A lot of cash out, you know, govy loans. So I got there and started doing it and started closing business and became the company's trainer and have sort of weaved a path since then, marrying, you know, mortgage sales training and coaching with originating. And, you know, when the pandemic hit, obviously travel got curtailed. And decided it was maybe time to just get back to focusing on origination, focusing on my community. So, you know, been originating full time now for a few years. Not the whole time I've been doing mortgages, but even as I was training, I kept writing loans, and here we are.
There it is, man. Well, I think I hear a little bit of that sportscaster in your voice. So checks out, right? Checks out. But, you know, going back to, you know, what you talk about the call center thing, you know, I got my start there too and managed call centers for decades, right? You know, and I'll be honest with you, you know, you get to the end of the pandemic and all of a sudden, man, it's crickets, right? You see a pipeline that goes from just massive production to nothing overnight. And people start getting a little bit scared. But not you, brother. You rolled up the sleeves and said, nah, man, we're going to get right into production to make it happen.
Yeah, and it's fun, right? I think if you're going to do something, you got to do it with joy. Nobody likes making cold calls. Very few truly enjoy going to open houses, going to the weekly Realtor Association meeting or the AM Spirit meeting, whatever it is in your local market. If you're not going to put a smile on your face and do it positively, then don't do it. There's enough things in all our lives we have to do. We have to pay bills. We have to mow the lawn. We have to eat right. At least I'm supposed to be eating right, right? You don't need to put more on your plate that you don't want to do. And I think the beauty of being a loan officer in mortgage origination is there's not just one way to do this. And, you know, some of the coaching companies, which are incredible, will say you got to make 1,000 calls on Monday and write 8,000 thank you cards on Thursday. And if you go to bed on Wednesday night and you're thinking, boy, I got to write 8,000 thank you cards tomorrow, and you cringe, then find another way to do it. There's not one way to do it. There are certain, I think, basic things we all have to do.
That's right.
But other than that, find what you're going to be excited about and then go deep, right? You don't have to go wide. And if you can find things that'll get you excited that are fun, it'll come across in your voice and your mannerisms, and don't make it harder than it has to be.
Well, I love that message, you know, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there with uncertainty, and there's a lot of people out there not loving what they're doing. And, you know, I'm a big advocate. We got to love what we do. And if we don't, you know, maybe it's time to find something different, right? So, you know, if you're in that pathway And, Adam's going to give you some information on what he's doing to create. But if you don't like that, you don't like anything else, maybe it is time to get out of the business, right? But if you love some of the stuff that we're talking about here and some of the stuff we bring it up on the show, man, try doing something different and love what you're doing, man. So Adam, what do you do, man? Like, how did you build that market?
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting involved, come up with ideas, sit down and write 10 out of the box ideas. Now, my brain is wired different than most people. I didn't have a background in finance. I don't have a degree in business, right? I talked on the radio about sports for 4 hours a day. So I just get a little bit creative. And when I think about approaching this, I'll just give you an example from recently. So I'm in Columbus, Ohio. It's not a huge non-QM market, right? It's not Miami. It's not New York or Boston, LA, Houston. And so for years, non-QM mortgage to me was always save a deal. XYZ Bank pre-approved a self-employed client. They got their tax returns. Oh, crap, right? Now the client is calling me. The realtor saying, Adam, we're 2 weeks till escrow. Maybe I can save it. Maybe I can't. If I can, I'm a hero. Maybe I got a new relationship. If I can't, I'm not really a villain because I wasn't the clown that, pre-approved them. And then last year, I had an epiphany. You go all over Columbus, and there's a lot of locally owned businesses. There's restaurants, there's clothing stores, there's jewelry stores. I'm not going to bore you with, right? And it's in every market. And I thought to myself,
they got stores.
They got stores. There's businesses, right? Years ago, we were in a DIY economy where people would watch HGTV and say, I want to fix the house or like that stuff, right? Now, with this show Shark Tank that's become so popular on ABC, and I love it. I love watching that show. A lot of people truly believe what you've done, Devin, and hopefully what I'm starting to do, and that is carve out your own business, right? Yeah. Bet on yourself and go and do it. Well, the problem for a lot of these folks is they're doing it. They're doing really well, right? They're a hero, except at tax time, their accountant, puts a few, X's and O's and kisses the IRS goodbye. And they go to buy a house, and what happens? So I realized we all have this bank statement loan. But if you tell someone I have a 12-month bank statement loan, excuse my language, what the hell does that mean to anybody, right? So we get caught up in this mortgage jargon. So you know what I started saying to people? I have an entrepreneur mortgage. Has anyone ever heard someone say, I have an entrepreneur mortgage? You watch Shark Tank, you started a restaurant, you started a cybersecurity company, you're an entrepreneur. I got a mortgage for you. Forget the 12-month bank statement nonsense. Speak in terms people understand. So I closed, I think, 17 of these. Yes, they're bank statement loans. It's not an entrepreneur mortgage. Right. But who cares what I call it? It closes just the same. Right? So what I realized was for a lot of these businesses, they meet with their accountant once a month. They got to run payroll. They got to do their books. So I started meeting with some of these accountants and tax attorneys. Some of these folks are the most boring people on planet Earth. They're not salespeople like you and I and like hopefully people listening. But you know what I realized? I don't want my tax attorney to be Mr. Going Out on a Friday night, life of the party. I want him to be black pants, white shirt, reading some 500-page boring book on a Friday night. That's what they're supposed to be, right? That's
true. Facts, right? We want them to be the nerd that gets me the most money at the end of the year, right? That's what it's all about.
Be an expert on this crazy tax code.
Yeah.
But what they have is a lot of time spent with these entrepreneurs, right? And in the course of running their books and helping with payroll and doing their taxes, a lot of times in the course of conversation, Steve, the restaurant owner, or Jill, the boutique owner, says, I really want to get into real estate investing, but every bank I talk to says you can't do it, right? You don't have enough, right? Or I want to buy a house. I want to upsize. I want to downsize, right? They say, well, give Adam a call. And I'm like, hey, we do these entrepreneur loans. You're looking to downsize, you're looking to upsize, move across town. Let's see what we can do for you, right? So it's just a matter of thinking outside the box. Don't use the same verbiage everyone else is using. Don't use the same inauthentic marketing everyone else is using. Nothing I do, I think, is like, wow, what a great idea. It's just simply doing something that's relatable, right?
Well, let me tell you something, man. You created your own market out of a program that almost everybody has access to, right? Just by branding it, right? You branded it with something that is Adam's, right? Hey, it's an entrepreneur loan. And at the end of the day, I help entrepreneurs get financing on homes. And let's talk about this too, because what a great place to brand yourself. Last time I looked, the DSCR loans, it makes it was a little bit more difficult. They're pretty darn easy loans to do if you understand the format, understand the program, and there's so much less documentation, right?
1,000%, 1,000%. And I don't do as many of those as I do the bank statement, but when I do them, I just call them real estate investor loans. How many people are on all these social media about investing and BRRR and all this craziness, right? So I think a lot of us spend more time on social media than we'd like to admit, myself included. And we like to think we're being productive. Oh, I talked to a realtor, I liked one of their posts, right? And the reality is, the return on investment for LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, for most of us is a big negative. There are a few that look a lot nicer than me. I know, shocking, right? This face for radio is not the moneymaker, right? There are a few.
I share the same face.
I love them, that have been able to monetize social media, drive traffic, drive leads. But for most of us, it's a crutch. We're just doing it because we're told or whatever. However, what I've realized is every city has a real estate group, an investment group of something, right? So I'm in 2 or 3 of these groups here in Columbus. Most of the comments that are on these pages are nonsense. Hey, does anybody have an eviction attorney? Whatever, right? But you start talking to people on there, you maybe throw a meetup, a happy hour or whatever, or a Zoom, and people are interested. Because we think as loan officers, everyone knows what the heck DSCR is. They know how to invest. They know how to get started, right? But people crave information, not just information in an entertaining way. If you can give people good information, but make it fun, tell a joke, tell an anecdote, tell a whatever, right? People will listen, and it's free to run a Zoom, right? So I've gotten on these pages, and I've been on them for a couple years now. I'm not going to say I've closed a ton of business, but a couple deals here and there, a couple HELOCs, whatever. And little by little, your brand starts to grow. And I'm like, that's one way for me to help monetize the social media. And, it's another branch on the tree. But again, I don't use the term DSCR. Someone will post on the page, does any lender here offer DSCR loans? And I say, well, I do a lot of investor loans. Yeah, let's talk, right? Let's set up 15 minutes.
Yeah, I love that, man. Well, at the end of the day, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. I say it all the time. And when you're hanging out on these forums with people that need what you have, and you're making comments and you're being active on there, they begin to know, like, and trust you, right? In fact, what really quite happens there, Adam, is I know a guy, Adam becomes the guy, right? Like, you're the guy they know. So I love that, man. I love that.
Well, there's nothing better on these pages when just some anonymous random person says, by the way, go to Adam for your deal. Because then it's not me saying it. It's not a realtor. It's, this woman a couple weeks ago posted, who offers HELOCs that can close quick. And I responded. I said, we do these digital HELOCs, and I'm sure a lot of you listening probably do them. I'm not saying like I'm the only one that can do these, right? But I said, we do these digital HELOCs. It's a pretty quick process. Would love to chat. Send me an email. So she sends me an email and she says, well, XYZ Bank is offering, $499 for 90 days. Can you beat that? And I said, no, I think you should work with them because I can't do a HELOC at $499. Now they want, $50K invested, whatever, but the HELOCs are not my business. So I said, I think if that's what you're looking for, run.
I'm not your guy.
Run, right? Yeah. And she's like, well, I don't know. And I said, well, if you want to talk, I can talk. So we get on a call, and she needs the money quick because she wants to buy a flip property, but she needs the money in like 2 weeks, right? And I was like, I don't know about that bank, but they ain't closing in 2 weeks, right? So we did this digital HELOC. She had her money 5 days later. It's a simple process, right? There's no underwriting. It's whatever. And then about a week later, someone posted about something, and I hadn't even seen it because I don't go on Facebook that often. And she had commented below, and she said, if you talk to anyone else but Adam, you're an effing idiot. That's what she said, right? And everyone was like, who's this Adam, right? Because this woman is not a realtor, right?
Yeah.
She's not in title. She's not in mortgage. She's just somebody, she runs a cleaning business. She's like one of those serial entrepreneurs that can't,
right.
She doesn't hear this, can't focus on one business, right? And here she is saying, I'm the man. All of a sudden, that one comment on Facebook, got me a ton of credibility.
Well, it's huge, man, because, again, all you did was give an honest answer. Hey, if you want the $499, I'm not your guy, right? There's things I can offer you. But I think we find that often, especially when it comes to programs like the HELOC. A lot of people come in thinking, man, this is what I want, because everybody says, hey, it's a magic opportunity to help erase debt and put yourself in a better position, right? And it is. There's nothing wrong about a HELOC, right? But when you start to investigate somebody's particular situation, a lot of the times what you find is that there's something that actually they need that program's not going to provide. And because you took the time to talk through it with them and identify what the real pain point was, you were able to give them a solution that was different than a HELOC. It wasn't at 499, but now they're able to come back and say, you know what, you want an honest answer, go talk to this guy, right? And that's all it is. And I think this is where a lot of loan officers get it wrong. They hear the roadblock and then they shut down, right? It's like, I get this low rate offer from somebody else. Well, that's great. Let's talk about what you really need. Is this what really works best? You know, and I talk about this all the time. I think we're in an industry where a lot of times people get very much like, you know, order takers from a drive-through. It's like, hey, what are you looking for? I want a conventional loan. Yeah, what's your best rate? And it's like, well, that's great. Let's talk about that. But let's talk about what you really want to do. Like, what are you trying to accomplish with this, right? And maybe that is the right loan, and maybe the 499 is the right place. But if that's not the case, let's talk through your opportunities, and maybe you win a deal just because you gave them more info.
Yeah, and 1,000%. And she wasn't going to qualify for the 499. It was going to take a month and a half to close. But I'm at the point in my life and my career where, you know, thank God, I'm very busy. And if someone wants to work with me, they get everything. I was talking to a loan officer, you know, not in my market, not in my company, a couple weeks ago. I was on one of these types of calls. And he reached out, and he was like, hey, I heard you on the call. Can we talk? Whatever. And he said, I'm having a lot of trouble because I pre-approve the buyer, and we get them in, and they make an offer, and then all of a sudden they're in contract, and they call their local credit union, whoever, and I got undercut. And I said, here's what I would tell you. On day one at pre-approval, you have to be direct with them. And you have to be willing to lose a deal every now and then. And if I'm going to lose quick, right?
Yeah.
So I said, after, you know, don't do this right out of the gate. You sort of have to, you know, have a drink, hold hands, and let's get to know one another before
Absolutely.
not that, but you know what I'm saying. So I said to him, here's what I tell people, right? I don't know, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, if you know how I get paid, so I'm just going to tell you. I'm a 100% commission employee. I work for free until your transaction closes and funds. And I got to tell you, I love it. I love that it's like that because I want to prove myself to you before I see a penny. However, right, in order for me to give you the full resources, me, my team, and everything I got, my reputation, you need to commit to me as well. It's a two-way street. If you're ready to commit to me, to work with me to get this done, let's rock and roll. If you're thinking you might want to call a couple other lenders, I'm not going to take it personally, but do it today. Because I can't commit the full resources of myself and my team till I have a commitment from you, and I want to do that, so you tell me. And a lot of times people are like, yeah, Adam, you're my guy. And for the ones who say, well, there's 3 other lenders, you know, my buddies, I say, okay, give them a call, let me know how it goes, and if you decide that I'm not the guy for you, just let me know, and I'm still here to help you down the road.
Well, it's so smart.
If I'm going to lose, then let me lose quick.
That's it.
Quick.
Yeah.
I'm confident enough that I could spend my time finding 2 more deals. If I really need that deal so bad, I'll find it. But a lot of loan officers, to your point, are on defense right now. They're so afraid of losing that one first-time buyer. This is going to ruin my whole month. And even if that's the case, you just have to stop that mentality because it's killing your business. Right?
It is.
I'm not advocating being a jerk to people, right? I'm simply saying my time is of some value, right? And if you're going to use me to get pre-approved, if I'm going to make a call on a Sunday to a listing agent, get your offer accepted, stick my neck out there, I'll close in 20 days, and come Monday after that offer is accepted, you're going to call abclending.com for $200 cheaper. How much time did I just waste for nothing, right? And it's usually over 1/8 of a point. Let's be honest, right? It's not 1% in rate. So, you know, that's just how I operate.
Well, I'm going to run back through that real quick because, again, it's so smart, right? You know, effectively what you're saying is after you get a chance to get to know the person and let them know what you're going to be providing through the process, right? It's not just about this is the product, this is the price, but hey, by the way, let me tell you what you're going to get with Adam, right? I'm going to be available at night. When you're out there looking at a property, you can put in an offer last minute on a Sunday night and make sure that it's been updated so that you can win that deal. I'm going to be there for you. It doesn't matter. You know, that's what I do. I'm the sick kind of guy that's just going to answer the phone and get you where you need to be, right? But at the same time, I need you to understand that in order to offer those type of resources and the team behind me that helps get all this stuff done, I've got to get that commitment because I don't get paid unless we go through to completion. So if you need to shop, I totally respect it. But if you're ready to jump in and commit to working with me and know the resources that you're going to have behind that, I'm your guy, right? And I think the reason a lot of loan officers have problems with that or struggles with that because they got PTSD from losing loans, or they don't have a big enough pipeline to have the confidence to step up and say it But in all reality, you didn't win that deal yet. And quite frankly, wouldn't you rather know up front opposed to waiting 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks and calling them every week to touch base and see how they are, only to find out in the 5th hour they switch gears and go another direction because they find somebody that's beating you by a fraction of the cost?
I think what you said is very astute, and that is a lot of loan officers either have the PTSD or they're afraid of losing that one deal. What I would submit is you have to have enough confidence that you truly are the best to help this individual or this family out. It's not arrogance. I genuinely believe in most situations I'm the man for the job. Look, if it's a $200,000 land loan, I'm punting it. I have other lenders in my market that do those. I have to broker it to some lender I've never heard of. Fine, I'm not the best man for the job, right? Yeah. There's certain situations where, frankly, I'm just going to pass. But in most leads that I get, in most buyers I get, I genuinely believe, yes, there are great loan officers in my market, but I am right up there with them. Maybe not in terms of volume, right? Maybe not in terms of tenure, but I believe that I provide a service. I can make this fun. I can get offers accepted. And if I believe that, and I believe I'm worth, committing to, then that's what I'm going to say. And I think if you say it confidently and not nervously, and you basically tell the person, look, your business and you are valuable to me, but it's not so valuable that I'm going to work for free when you're talking to 8 other people, then say it confidently. Explain, look, I'm an expert. I'm a master at getting offers accepted, right? That's what we do better than anybody else. Do you genuinely believe that? Do you believe you have a reputation in your market that people say, yes, I saw Adam's name on the pre-approval. That's the offer I'm going with, even if it wasn't the highest offer.
Amen.
And if not, then we can talk about things to help you get that reputation. But with the buyer, look, they're scared, they're nervous, they got triggered lenders calling them, whatever. You just have to speak with authority. Hey, I want to help you out, but I need your commitment as well. It's a two-way street. I'm ready to commit every resource I have to you in getting an offer accepted and making this process awesome. I just want to make sure you're ready to commit to me. We'll lock arms and let's freaking go. You ready? And they'll say, hey,
I'm ready, baby. Sign me up. Well, man, in such a short time, you've dropped so much knowledge and so many great secrets. So I can tell you right now, somebody who's listening to this just heard a technique or several techniques. They're going, dude, I can do that. I can change that. I can make that happen. These are not tough things to figure out. It's not like you just said, hey, look, you got to go figure out how to build an AI CRM and, build it out yourself. And, that's what we're talking about here, right? Hire somebody to do that for you if that's what you want. But if you want techniques that work right now to win in your market and scripts that give you the confidence to step forth and say the things that need to be said to secure your business, Adam's a man. He just drops that knowledge. So, brother, I'd love to keep you here all day, but I know you are a producing originator, and I know you got people to serve. What have we not tackled today that we should have?
Yeah, I'll mention one thing that's a little bit of a head fake when I talk to groups of loan officers. And for 10 years, I was on the road training, 20, 30 weeks a year. And whenever I would say this, people would look at me kind of weird until they thought about it. If you want your business to grow, give back to your community. Your time, your talent, your treasure. Find a charity and whatever you're excited about. If it's the local food bank, if it's a church or synagogue or mosque, if it's an animal shelter, figure out what charities your realtors. I have a realtor that I worked with for years, and she would kind of ping pong deals between me and 2 other lenders. And about 2 years ago, we were having coffee, and I said, you've lived in this town a long time. Like, what is your favorite charity? She said, Families Flourish. It helps single women with children, get housing in areas with better schools for their kids, whatever, right? And so I said, what can I do? What can we do as a company to help out? She said, host an event, whatever, right? Brought her to a realtor association meeting. We made a donation. And all of a sudden, I don't think she refers people to others. Maybe she does, but I'm getting a lot more looks from her, right? So I tell everybody, the reason to give back to your community is not to drive business, right? You can't go volunteer or do something saying, I'm doing this to get business, but you will get business, and it's pretty damn cool. Right? You want to get a reputation, right? That when someone sees your name on a pre-approval, a listing agent does, they say, that's the guy I want to work with. Then just get out there. Not everything has to be about closing loans and getting offers accepted and making a ton of money. That's certainly part of it. I'm a money-motivated person. I have no problem saying that. I don't get up in the morning to work for free. However, I'm telling you, the more I give back, my time, my talent, my treasure, and there ain't much, it comes back to me fivefold. So it's a head fake, right? Because most people will hear your question and say, well, make more dials or do this or send a fake, call the listing agent. And I'm telling you the opposite. That's all important. But the most important thing you can do is be part of your community. Be part of where you live. Give back. Go volunteer at the school, the food bank, the whatever. And you will see tangible benefits to your life and to your business from it.
Amen, man. So one more nugget for the road. He's like, hey, I wasn't done there. I got one more. And that's such a valuable one, right? Like, that's so valuable. Get out there and be social, be in your community, be involved, be visible, right? Be visible to the people and show them that you care. And you're going to get so much love in return. And I think that's the one thing that a lot of people need to understand about this industry is it's not a short game industry. This is a long game industry. We're building relationships. They're going to lead to long-term success and wealth in this industry. So, Adam, my man, thank you so much for coming on today. Hey, when the folks out there want to find you, what areas do you serve? Where are you at? I know you're in Columbus, Ohio, but where do you serve, man?
Yeah, I'm licensed in Ohio, Illinois, Florida, and Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh. I have a lot of folks in Chicago that I'm friends with and do business with. And then, of course, everyone wants to be in Florida for vacation homes and retirees. But look me up on LinkedIn. Or on Facebook. I love connecting with other loan officers. I love hearing what other people are doing. I love brainstorming. Happy to share whatever I can to help people out. I love the Thor hammer in your background there. That's awesome, right? I just I'm a happy person most days, right? I wake up and I believe God put me on this earth to bring joy to others, whether it's through mortgages, whether it's through charity, whether it's just telling a joke. So if you're having a crummy day, a crummy week, a crummy quarter, reach out. Right? And not in this psycho-babble like, oh, here's no, let's just shoot the you-know-what together, right? Find me on LinkedIn, reach out. I'm me. There's no LOA. There's no frills. This is my home office. You can see this is me, right? I only wore a sweater today because I know what's going on this. Otherwise, it would be T-shirt or hooded sweatshirt, right? So, yeah.
My man.
But thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thanks, Adam, man. So the real Adam Neft, right? Just a real guy solving real problems. And, hey, man, he's there to help you. So if you do need some assistance along your journey, whether you're a buyer that's just looking for the right answers, right, and somebody that you can trust, or if you're a loan originator and you're out there struggling and you want somebody that can sit you down and have a conversation with you and maybe set you straight and help you figure out that path that's going to work for you, right? And we talked about this too. If none of these things sound right for you and you're just not finding the right groove, maybe this isn't the right industry for you, right? We want you to love what you do, man. That's what it's all about. So, hey, you probably saw his info run across the bottom of the screen, but if you didn't have time to jot it down, go check out the description. We'll have all of his information in there. And, if you reach out to him, you're going to be glad you did. So for us, man, keep coming back. Keep hearing from great guests like Adam. If there's a topic you want to hear about, put it in the DMs. If there's somebody you know of right now that needs to hear this, hey, send it to the 3 people you need it, right? And comment, go like his page, and have a freaking incredible day and a great weekend. And until we see you on the next one, we'll see you then.